is this going to work? Let's try it out.
It's time for Nicole Sandler's What's News from NicoleSandler.com and the Progressive Voices Network.
On the second day of the Senate Judiciary Committee's confirmation hearings for Donald Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett, she wouldn't say how she'd rule on abortion, health care, marriage equality, or the election. Talk about stonewalling. Although the nominee took questions on lots of hot-button issues, she answered none of them. Dianne Feinstein asked if she thought Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided.
It's distressing not to get a straight answer. So let me try again. Do you agree with Justice Scalia's view that Roe was wrongly decided?
Senator, I completely understand why you are asking the question, but again, I can't pre-commit or say, yes, I'm going in with some agenda, because I'm not. I don't have any agenda. I have no agenda to try to overrule Casey. I have an agenda to stick to the rule of law and decide cases as they come.
Do you agree with Justice Scalia's view that Roe can and should be overturned by the Supreme Court?
Well, I think my answer is the same, because, that's a case that's litigated. It could, its contours could come up again. In fact, do come up. They came up last term before the court. So I think, what the Casey standard is, and it's a contentious issue, which is, I know, one reason why it would be comforting to you to have an answer. But I can't express views on cases or pre-commit.
Barrett says that Antonin Scalia was her mentor, but wouldn't say if she agreed with his legal opinion against marriage equality. She also refused to say she'd recuse herself from election-related disputes.
Any judge or justice should recuse themselves from a case in which their impartiality might reasonably be questioned. Given what President Trump said, given the rushed context of this confirmation, will you commit to recusing yourself from any case arising from a dispute in the presidential election results 3 weeks from now?
Senator Coons, thank you for giving me the opportunity to clarify this, because I want to be very clear for the record and to all members of this committee that no matter what anyone else may think or expect, I have not committed to anyone or so much as signaled. I've never even written. I've been in a couple of opinions in the Seventh Circuit that have been around the edges of election law. But I haven't even written anything that I would think anybody could reasonably say, oh, this is how she might resolve an election dispute. And I would consider it, I certainly hope that all members of the committee have more confidence in my integrity than to think that I would allow myself to be used as a pawn to decide this election for the American people. So that would be on the question of actual bias. And you asked about the appearance of bias.
Correct.
And you're right that the statute does require a justice or judge to recuse when there's an appearance of bias. And what I will commit to every member of this committee, to the rest of the Senate, and to the American people is that I will consider all factors that are relevant to that question.
Barrett wouldn't even say if she thinks Trump can unilaterally delay the election. Hint, he can't.
Does the Constitution give the President of the United States the authority to unilaterally delay a general election under any circumstances? Does federal law?
Well, Senator, if that question ever came before me, I would need to hear arguments from the litigants and read briefs and consult with my law clerks and talk to my colleagues and go through the opinion writing process. So, if I give off-the-cuff answers, then I would be basically a legal pundit. And I don't think we want judges to be legal pundits. I think we want judges to approach cases thoughtfully and with an open mind.
You get the idea. That's how it went. In her high-pitched, monotone, robotic voice, she really said nothing. The Democrats' vice presidential candidate, Senator Kamala Harris, also sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee, so she too got to question Barrett. Harris used her 30 minutes on Tuesday wisely, laying out the case to the American people about why the Democrats have focused so much of this hearing on the Affordable Care Act. You see, Barrett would be replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It was her vote that kept the law in place. Harris driving home the fact that the Republicans are rushing this nomination through to get Barrett seated before they hear the administration's case to overturn what's left of the Affordable Care Act in a hearing already scheduled for November 10th. And day 3 of the hearing is getting off to a similar start, with Barrett refusing to answer Senator Patrick Leahy's question on whether a president can refuse to obey the law, and she once again leaving open the possibility that the president could pardon himself. Thanks to the Republicans stealing one seat, they blocked even a hearing for Obama's nominee Merrick Garland after Antonin Scalia died for almost a year. And then they filled a second vacancy after Anthony Kennedy unexpectedly and suddenly announced his retirement last year. I wish someone would look into that. The court is already lopsided to the right. And on Tuesday, the current 8-member court offered us a harbinger of rulings to come. They allowed Trump's administration to immediately stop the counting of the population for the 2020 census. The justices overruled a lower court ruling that had ordered the counting be continued until October 31st. The accuracy of the census count is critical. It's what determines how the U.S. House of Representatives and state legislatures draw voting districts during the next round of redistricting. It also guides the federal government in allocating $1.5 trillion each year in aid. Ending the count early before it's complete is a blow to civil rights groups concerned about an undercount, particularly of racial minorities. Justice Sonia Sotomayor dissented, possibly even buying us an extra day or two of counting, but it will officially end Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. Hawaii time. So if you haven't yet responded to the census, do it now. Just go to census.gov and be counted. But wait, that's not all. The Supreme Court also shut down the emoluments lawsuit brought by congressional Democrats that accused Donald Trump of violating anti-corruption provisions in the Constitution with his business dealings. The justices refused to hear an appeal brought by 215 Senate and House Democrats of a lower court ruling that found that the lawmakers lacked the necessary legal standing to bring the case. There are still 2 more similar lawsuits filed by an advocacy group and Democratic attorneys general working their way through the courts. The other big story, of course, deals with our global pandemic. The headlines are screaming that U.S. coronavirus cases are rising again rapidly. They've been trending upwards for almost a month now, and the U.S. is now reporting over 51,000 new cases each day. It's the highest 7-day rolling average since August 16th. But in keeping with their way of doing things, the White House is abandoning any science-based protocols to stop its spread. Again, more than 215,000 Americans have already died from the virus, and new projections are dire. But it's under that backdrop that the White House has reportedly embraced a declaration by a group of scientists arguing for a herd immunity strategy to deal with America's coronavirus pandemic. I should note that the validity of that declaration came under question due to a number of apparently fake names among its expert signatories, including Dr. I.P. Freely, Dr. Person Fake Name, and Dr. Johnny Bananas. Legitimate experts like Dr. Anthony Fauci have been sidelined, only to be replaced by a Fox Not News quack named Scott Atlas, who's not an immunologist, who's not an infectious disease specialist. He's a radiologist. He reads x-rays, but he's been pushing the herd immunity idea inside the White House. In other news, Donald Trump has made no secret of his directive to his Attorney General Bill Barr to find some dirt to throw the election his way. But Department of Justice investigators thankfully seem to have not gotten the memo. The Washington Post reporting on Tuesday that the federal prosecutor Barr appointed to review the unmasking of names in intelligence documents by Obama-era officials has finished his work without making any criminal charges or even releasing a public report. conservatives have argued that Obama administration officials used it to reveal the name of Trump advisor Michael Flynn in intelligence documents in late 2016 and early 2017. Again, to clarify, the federal prosecutor appointed by Attorney General William Barr to review whether Obama-era officials improperly requested the identities of individuals whose names were redacted in intelligence documents has completed his work without finding any substantive wrongdoing. And that's just a bit of what's news for now. I'm Nicole Sandler. If you appreciate these reports and the Nicole Sandler Show, I hope you'll consider making a contribution. My work is 100% listener supported, and I can't do it without your help. Find out more at NicoleSandler.com, and please click on that donate button.
Absolutely, Nicole. Nicole Sandler helping me out during this test broadcast. But you know, it actually did give me an opportunity to put together some of the new pieces that you need. So, thanks for bearing with me. Oh, we got an orange light. Let's see what happens if I add another stream. What do you think of that? Probably gonna go down. %. The computer can't keep up. It's computing. Cannot keep up. Yeah. Okay, well that wasn't very fun. As we count down the days, I see we flipped over. We've got 18 days, 23 hours, 33 minutes, and 10 seconds. Excellent, excellent. What else do I have in this celebration of sound? Celebration of sound. It's coming back. Ba, ba, ba. Not good though. Did it crash? Oh, hello. Let's see what else we can do here. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Let me see if I can bring this in. I'm going to just scoot that down a half a step there. Damn it. Did I tweet this? I didn't mean to tweet it. Let's see what David Pacman has to say. He's always fantastic. Pac-Man. Can we hear it? Can't hear a damn thing. How about this?
Laughing, cackling when Amy McGrath confronted him about his abject failures in dealing with coronavirus. He just laughs. He's laughing as more than 200,000 have died. Take a look at this.
The House passed a bill in May, and the Senate went on vacation. I mean, you just don't do that. You negotiate. Senator, it is a national crisis. You knew that the coronavirus wasn't going to end at the end of July. We knew this. I mean, I just think you've got to. And here's the thing: if you want to call yourself a leader,
Bill,
if you want to call yourself a leader, you got to get things done. And those of us that served in the Marines, we don't just point fingers at the other side. We get the job done.
Senator, you went on vacation when people needed coronavirus relief. Quite a guy, right? I mean, we have to assume. I really believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt, and I know there are every state has a lot of ideological, nutty right-wingers. We have to assume that not all Kentuckians actually like Mitch McConnell, don't we? In other words, part of why Mitch McConnell has been in power for so long has to be that many people simply aren't paying attention and don't actually endorse this guy's complete and total immorality. I hope for the sake of humanity that that's the case, at least to some extent. Here's more of Mitch McConnell laughing off accurate statements from Amy McGrath about the Supreme Court, about coronavirus relief, about everything. This montage includes part of the clip I showed you just a couple minutes ago.
And he's walking away from negotiations even now when President Trump even wants negotiations to happen before this election. It's irresponsible.
Senator McConnell.
And instead of doing that, he is trying to rein through a Supreme Court nominee right now, instead of negotiating, which is what he should have been doing all summer long to make that happen.
Senator, do you have an additional response?
We've got to get our democracy working because we have to get through this crisis right now.
That's your time. Senator McConnell.
Well,
The Senate went on vacation. I mean, you just don't do that. You negotiate. Senator, it is a national crisis.
Yeah.
You knew that the coronavirus wasn't going to end at the end of July. If you want to call yourself a leader, you got to get things done. And those of us that served in the Marines, we don't just point fingers at the other side. We get the job done.
Is it all a joke to Mitch McConnell? Or does he at least see Amy McGrath as a joke? Is that what it is? Because that's the laugh of a hypocrite. Unfortunately, there are many voters in Kentucky who think at least he's not a Democrat and they're going to vote for him. That counts for a lot in many Republican strongholds like Kentucky. But imagine removing Mitch McConnell on November 3rd. It's an uphill battle,
God, wouldn't
no
that
doubt.
be great?
But if you look at 538.com, it says McConnell has a 96% chance of being reelected. The truth is we don't have very recent polling in Kentucky. If you look at the polls on Real Clear Politics, you'll see the latest poll is nearly a month old. Yes, McConnell was leading by 12 then, but that was a month ago. A lot has happened since then. It could be 6 right now. Within 3 weeks, it could be less than 6. We just have no idea, and it's a great race to get involved in. And then briefly, just as a reminder, South Carolina, incumbent Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has a serious challenge from Democratic candidate Jamie Harrison. Harrison has been raising ungodly amounts of money lately, but the concern is how much of the money is from around the country rather than from voters in South Carolina. But the latest polls there are good for Harrison. In the last month, the polls are a tie, Lindsey Graham ahead by 1, and 2 more ties. If you go beyond that, you're looking at polling from July. Very important race. I think Harrison has more of a shot than McGrath, but both really key races that you can get yourself involved in. Phone banking, door-to-door campaigning if you live in the States and you can do it safely, etc. Get involved. And we are going to talk on today's bonus show about some of these races and more as well. Get instant access to the bonus show by becoming a member at joinpacman.com. We'll see you then. Every single day, the Trump administration shows us what happens when anti-science Christian conservatives have power in government on everything from climate change to fighting this pandemic. We cannot afford another 4 years of Donald Trump. One of our sponsors today is the Free Thought Equality Super PAC. Both they and I want to remind you that voting against Donald Trump in the presidential election is one of the most important things you can do right now if you want religious conservatives to have less power and you want science to have more influence in government. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make the commitment to vote on or before November 3rd. I also encourage you to check out the Center for Free Thought Equality, which is an advocacy group that promotes evidence-based public policy and supports secular candidates running for office. Becoming a member is completely free, gives you access to tons of excellent resources related to secularism in politics. Just visit cfequality.org. You can find the link right underneath this video. This message was paid for by the Free Thought Equality Super PAC and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Thank you very much, David Pacman. Always the best with the Pac-Man. Now let's see what else we have here.
Years ago,
Paul Rubin.
you decided that you were going to do.
We're going to get in trouble for playing this, probably.
I don't want to look like an older guy playing Pee-wee.
I made a movie a few years ago for Netflix that was a third Pee-wee movie. There was like a 25-year gap. And I felt like being Pee-wee Herman at that point, or now, or later, was sort of like, do you know the movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane?
Yes.
It was sort of like I'm writing a letter to Pee-wee. You know, it's like scary, like just like weird.
Right.
So you know, Pee-wee was sort of based on youth and youthfulness. So we did something. This is a secret. So please don't tell anybody this, okay?
It won't get out on this show.
So we did an early computer-generated, sort of like the Irishman.
Did you do the same thing?
Yeah, we did the same thing. And I was prepared to talk all about it.
Pee-wee.
When the movie came out. But people, the press saw the movie and would say stuff to me like, what is your secret? My God, it's like time stood still. And I would be looking at the people going, you're 2 feet away from me. What are you talking? You just saw the movie. I don't look anything like that.
Right.
You know, I think people just thought we had a big budget, and I had an Academy Award-winning makeup artist, which I did.
Right.
A lot of backlighting.
Yeah.
High angles.
So how much time? I mean, because on The Irishman, I heard that took a lot of time. They gave you a younger face. What is that? What does that cost? What's involved?
Oh, I mean, you couldn't afford it, really. Seriously. If you have to ask. You know, seriously, though, I'll tell you this.
Fortunately, I don't have that problem.
I'll be the judge of that.
What do you think?
I would consult someone tomorrow.
I hate the new face
tonight if you can. Interestingly enough, and I found this out in hindsight, it cost so much money to do it that it would have been a fraction of the cost for me to have had plastic surgery.
Really? Right.
Extension.
Less than all the CGI work they did.
I could have had 6 facelifts.
Have you ever considered franchising the Pee Wee character, meaning finding an actor, a young actor who does it well, and giving them the outfit and saying, you go out, you do the Pee Wee shtick, and I'll make the money off of it?
Absolutely. It's currently for sale right now. I have an ad in LA Weekly. I have an ad in the New York Times. It's online. It's been for sale.
I want to do that with the Conan character. I want to find some young strapping kid and put him in the wig and, you know, teach him a couple of the moves and say, go out there, be Conan O'Brien. I got 60%, see?
And when you're finished with that, put on the Pee Wee stuff and do Pee Wee.
Yeah, or we send a Conan out in a Pee Wee and they frolic and we make the dough, see?
Yeah. I feel that if I could pull that off, I could become so wealthy. It would be incredible. If I sold the Pee Wee character for what I believe it's worth, I mean, it's quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
And I would be like, you know, rich, like King Midas.
Rich and evil at the same time.
I'd be so rich, I would own this studio. I could buy your contract. I could take over the show. It could become my show.
This would be your show.
Paul O'Brien. I would take my name to
see, no one wants to see the Paul O'Brien show.
Well, we'll see about that.
Pee Wee.
Did a camera just go out for a second? I thought I saw.
I didn't notice.
Oh, I thought I saw a little.
Cameras?
Yeah.
What?
This has been on television the whole time.
Stop it.
Yes, it has.
What a cruel joke.
And see these people?
Pee Wee.
It's all been a cruel prank.
During his confirmation hearing in 2005, Chief Justice Roberts was asked about the constitutionality of Section 2, which I think you were referring to earlier, of the Voting Rights Act. He testified, quote, "I have no basis for viewing Section 2 as constitutionally suspect, and I don't." Judge Barrett, do you agree that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is constitutional?
I think that Chief Justice Roberts' statement, "I have no basis for viewing it as constitutionally suspect," would be the same as mine. I'm not aware of any constitutional law existing that would create a question about it.
Thank you. As Senator Hirona mentioned yesterday, in a 2018 case before the Supreme Court, a group of workers were denied overtime pay and joined together to file a lawsuit against their employer. The corporation argued that workers didn't have a right to go to court as a group and could only raise disputes in arbitration individually.
The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
She's got the news. She talks with newsmakers. She encourages us to laugh, and she cries with us. Speaking truth to power and questioning authority daily, it's the Nicole Sandler Show.
It is, and it is a Wednesday, and Kamala Harris is speaking now in the third day of the confirmation hearings for Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. So Kamala Harris is about, 5 minutes into it. I thought we would listen to her for a while. First thing to let you know is the first night when they each did their 10 minutes opening remarks, her audio was horrible. They fixed it yesterday, but it's all FUBAR again today. Yeah, just thought I'd let you know. It's not me, it's her. It's the Senate.
Congress's passage of labor laws to protect workers and place them on equal footing. Do you recognize Justice Ginsburg's point that there is, quote, extreme imbalance of power between large corporations and individual workers?
Senator Harris, I'm going to give you the
I'm not going to give you a view.
With respect to
I won't give you any views.
Quoted me from
I'm an Android.
Opinion in Shelby County that I'm not going to.
I'm not going to express my views on any issue.
Embracing portions of opinions, especially opinions that have been recently decided and are contentious from the court.
So I will not give you my opinion.
And, you've been on the bench a short time, but I'm going to just point out that I do believe, and commentators have noted, a pattern that you had of ruling against workers and in favor of corporations.
Yes, she does.
For example, in Berlocka v. Contact Transportation Services, you ruled against long-haul truckers seeking overtime pay for additional work.
That's not good.
In Wallace v. Grubhub Holdings, you ruled against delivery drivers seeking overtime pay, forcing them out of court and into private arbitration. In Harris v. YRC Worldwide, you ruled against 4 black truck drivers who alleged their employer assigned them less desirable routes.
Oh, no.
When compared to their colleagues. And Smith v. Illinois Department of Transportation, you ruled against a black worker who was called a racial slur by his supervisor.
Yeah, because that didn't create a hostile workplace.
According to an independent analysis of your decisions, Judge, it appears you have sided with business interest over workers and consumers in about 85% of your business-related cases. Moving on, climate change, as many have mentioned, is an existential threat, and its effects are all around us. In California, we've had 5 of the 6 largest wildfires in the state's history. 31 people have been killed by wildfires in California since August.
But she doesn't really believe, she doesn't have an opinion on climate change.
And a helicopter pilot.